Welcome to Andrea Lake 101, the making of a billionaire. You guys, we have for you this week, Dirty Tea. We have on the lovely and illustrious Miss MeiMei Fox. MeiMei, thank you so much for being with us today.
Always a pleasure, Andrea. Always a pleasure.
I am so happy that you're here. MeiMei, can you confirm on this episode of Dirty Tea that I do not know what any of the questions are?
You do not.
Ooh, and can you confirm that we did choose a subject this week?
That we did. We chose The Apprentice, one of my favorite subjects.
Okay, so this is a dirty tea. For new listeners, that means that I am having a glass of wine. I might have smoked a little weed. And this is no holds barred, girl. My NDA was up on this show decades ago. So you are good to go. You can ask me anything. Anything you like about my time on The Apprentice. For listeners that are new, I was a contestant on season 5 of The Apprentice with that guy that everybody knows who he is. Currently
that guy,
our president. Who would have?
Well, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
One of the things we're gonna talk about for sure is the president, and
that dude.
There will be other questions, but there are going to be some questions around that for sure.
Yeah. Do it. Let's go. Let's get to it.
So, I mean, first of all, I just want to say, I actually watched The Apprentice live when it first aired. Like I was a super fan. I really loved the show. So I had like a vague recollection that you were a total B. You were a bad guy. You were a villain. You were not likable whatsoever on that show.
God damn, MeiMei. I didn't think it was
I'm going in.
Wow.
That was the impression from watching it. Since then, getting to know you, since then, getting to know you and discovering you aren't that whatsoever. And in fact, you're one of the most generous, caring people I know, who's so thoughtful, who cares for your employees in a deep, deep way, who's compassionate for all the suffering in the world and wants people to not be starving and to have good education and to have good health care. So like, you're such the antithesis of how they painted you. So I just want to dive right into that. Was that intentional on your part? Was like, what happened there?
That is a great question. So first of all, I'm going to say, I don't think I got that bad of an edit. Okay. I truly actually don't, but I've had several people that have watched the show have that reaction. And I know MeiMei just rewatched the show and I did not. I thought that I looked aloof and cold, but I didn't think that I looked terrible. My mentor actually watched that show, the traitor private guy, and he was like, Andrea, that they did not do you kindly. And I'm like, really? I didn't think it was that bad. But apparently it was. Did you think it was bad?
Interesting. When I rewatched it, I didn't at all. So I don't know if it's just because when I was watching it the first time, I was 35 years old. And so I had a different filter.
It was a different time.
It was a different time, or it's because I know you better, or it's also because I know more about how shows are edited now, which at the time I was very naive. I didn't watch a lot of reality television. But I would say that, yes, mostly you came across as cold and aloof. However, there were a few key moments, which we can dive into, where they also painted you as having just screwed your team over through not communicating your skill set. Okay, so I want to know, like, in the Ellis Island episode, specifically, your team is given a task to like create and distribute this marketing material, and the way they cut it now I would say, oh, maybe they cut it that way, but the way they portray it is that you were running around for days, not telling them that maybe you knew a thing or two about this, and that you had this strategy to just call people who would place bulk orders.
Right.
Okay. I'll stop there.
Right. So the task was to create this catalog tourist guide thing that tourists would buy when they go take the Ellis Island tour, which was very cool. because we got to like go across and see the Statue of Liberty and get behind the scenes at Ellis Island. That part actually was cool. And the moment that happened, I was like, oh, great, banger, we've got this, because all we have to do is go hit up all the gift shops that are across the street from Ellis Island, right? And we had no time left on the day. I think once we got back from receiving the task, I think that, I don't remember what time of day it was, but the first day, it was a 2-day task. So the first day you had to design the brochure, go to Ellis Island, do all of the things, get everything together. And it was so much work. It was this insane, intense amount of work. So the team had to be split up into groups. And I said to Allie, we need to do bulk sales. And she goes, bulk sales, bulk sales. Like, all I hear about from you is bulk sales. And I'm like, yes, you fucking dumb. Obviously, because if like 2 or 3 stores carry this, it's going to work.
You'll win the task.
Literal, actual, very fucking first thing that I said when we got back to the apartment, I went and got her a list, because Allie had decided that she did not want me in any way at all whatsoever involved, because I kept winning. And then I kept taking over as project manager, and then 2 different project managers both addressed the fact that I like took over the task from them. And I'm like, facts. And we won. Like,
right.
We were losing. And then I took it over because you were not capable of doing this. Because look, I know how I sound, but like for most other people that went on that show, they were a lawyer who had just one hot half second ago become a lawyer. Or they were like, Allie was a Harvard MBA, which fucking kudos to her, great. But she had just graduated and had never started a company. And so the way that you have a skill set for starting a company or running a task on The Apprentice, which is identical to starting a company, except for you have 36 hours to do it in, the way that you learn how to start a company is you do it and you fail and you fuck up a whole fucking bunch of times. That's how you learn. And at the point in time that I had gone on the show, I had started like 7 or 8 companies, multi-million-dollar, profoundly successful companies. So I was the only person on my team who understand how to run any task, period, in a functional way. Allie understood it in a theoretical way because that's what you learn at Harvard Business School.
That's
but she had never started a product company and done a product launch, which is what this was. So I immediately said, bulk sales, she didn't want me to do anything, go design the flyer. And I'm like, cool. She's like, you said you're a graphic designer. And I'm like, no, babe. I said I have graphic designers working for me, a fucking lot of them. In 0% of my life have I ever said that I myself am a graphic designer. What are you talking about? I have a staff. Okay. Like that's how I get shit done. And that's sort of how I sounded, just sort of that cunty little way that I just said that right there. I have people that do that for me, but like, I love my people and I really do. And so they edited it. I consistently said, you need to be setting up these bulk sales. That is what you should be doing, or I can go do them. No, I don't want you doing that. I need you over here. And then she also declined to use my Excel spreadsheet, which was the reason that we won every single task. And it had checklists for shit like, I don't know, do you have the dossier with you? Do you have your journal with you? Do you have your money envelope with you? So that every time you left a location, you would go in, and I had preset in the spreadsheet each location. And guess what fucking happened to her? And she lost like 5 hours because she left her journal. Well, the journal had the dossier, the money. She couldn't just leave the journal. So she didn't have any time to do anything. And it shows that on the show, but it doesn't show how completely fucking incompetent that was. And it was because she did not want to use something I created because she wanted to take like 100% of the credit. And I'm like, when you're on a team and you don't use your team, you fail, period. And that's right. That is why we failed. Yes.
So they definitely didn't show that. They definitely did not show. They did not show you saying, "Let's do bulk sales." I think the other team did some bulk sales as well. Yes. And to be clear, this task, winning the task, is selling the most product. It is not. You don't have to sell the most product to individuals standing in line. It was just sell the most product. That's how you win.
Yeah, it was $1.
It was dollars. So if you get dollars from 3 bulk sales versus 2,000 tourists.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so it's so obvious that that's the way. Nice. But they didn't portray it that way. Right. They didn't have anything about that. And they did show her fucking up and leaving her dossier on the island. And,
right, but it doesn't
but they didn't show it being a huge deal. No.
That took the whole day.
It looked like she caught the next boat like 20 minutes later.
No. She had left and had to go back. It took like 4 or 5 or 6 hours. It took like the whole day, and then they had to find it, and then there was drama around that. But in a TV show, you have 42 minutes to tell a whole story.
That's right.
The task delivery will be 6 minutes. That it's broken up like into 7 segments. Boardroom, task delivery, Trump selling his things, the corporation that's sponsoring it selling their things, synergy, my team, the other person's team, and then just fucking whatever the drama is that week. Those are the categories. So there's no time to explain what actually happened on a reality TV show.
Right. So there obviously a ton of stuff is going to get cut.
Of course.
And then they deliberately cut it so that you then at the end of that episode go, I told you to do bulk sales, and basically have Allie saying like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? Why are you just saying this to me now?
Okay.
That's how it was. That's
very
how it played.
clearly not what happened. Obvi. So at the point in time that I went on that show, I had maybe done $200 million in revenue in my companies.
Jeez,
maybe, yeah, maybe 150. I had launched 7 or 8 companies, maybe more, maybe 9. And I also did individual product launches within each company. And so that's like a familiar thing that people understand right now. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to create every single thing to your advantage. When I teach at Harvard, I am a high school graduate, college, did not go. And right. I teach at Harvard. I teach entrepreneurship. They invite me to come speak.
Yeah.
Nobody got me into Harvard.
Nope.
But I've done well enough in entrepreneurship that they're like, please come this way and talk to our people. I'm like, sure. So it's really different to learn about what I would do in business, because if you go to Harvard and you're an MBA at Harvard, you are being groomed to either then go to law school and maybe go into politics, or to become a CEO of a Fortune 500, really.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Or a C team somewhere within there. You're not taught how to be a scrappy fucking hustler. Scrappy hustlers, generally speaking, don't go to college.
They don't go. Yeah.
Right.
Or they go to college and drop out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, just tell us from your perspective, what was the motivation on the producer side to tell the story that way?
Oh, well, you can never make Donald look wrong. So I actually am the only contestant where it ever ended up making it look like Donald was wrong. That's why he called me when he watched my firing episode. He was pissed because he saw them like dancing and laughing of saying how they were going to lie to Donald Trump, lie to the judges, and saying there's going to be blood on the boardroom wall tonight, and then coordinating everything. So then it was clear to him that maybe wasn't the best move to fire me.
Okay.
And they talked about me, and like there's a rule in reality TV that if you're off the show, they do not talk about you in a future episode, because if somebody comes in and watches the show at episode 10 or 11, they don't want to hear about a character that they're not aware of 3 episodes back, 2 episodes back, whatever. So they don't even carry people 1 forward, but for the next 2 episodes, they opened with me, and then I was back for the finale. I was off 1 episode entirely, and then I was back for the finale, because all of the production crew, like you could hear them yelling from the production room when Donald fired me. They were like, no, because I was their storyteller. So they had already written a whole story arc of this like badass, super confident, kind of aloof, just like fucking ice cold killer chick who started all these companies, self-made multi-millionaire. That was so rare 20 years ago for a woman. Rare. Yeah. It was not like now, where you have lots and lots of amazing women examples. There were none. And so everyone on the production crew is just like yelling no, because they don't have their storyteller anymore. And Donald realized that, which is why he called me after the show.
So it was that episode that you got fired, the Ellis Island. So they edited. So basically, their motivation to edit it.
That's right. Was to make it
untruthfully was to make it look like you really deserved it, which they did. Frankly, I mean, I wouldn't say that you deserve to be fired, because you'd seen I've been watching you kick ass the whole time. But obviously, that was a very deliberate choice to make Donald. And
it was profoundly untrue. It was intentionally
profoundly
untrue. At the time, I was so fucking pissed, because I was like 32 and full of fucking wine and vinegar. Yeah. And I literally made a moral compass for Jay Beanstalk, the executive producer of that show, but I did not end up giving it to him. But I did. I made him I handmade a moral compass for him to give to him.
What does that look like?
It was like this very antique looking like gold thing that was etched into the top. It was a compass. It was like an old school, old Scott style compass that you would use on a hiking trail. And it was like moral compass. And then I had an etching that I will not share on the back.
Oh no, come on, it's dirty
No.
tea.
No, because I didn't give it to him because I'm like, Andrew, you're being so unfair. He needed to make a television show. You're
He
the
had to
fucking
make a show.
lunatic. You're the lunatic that went onto a reality TV show without
That's
owning
right.
television or having ever seen a reality TV show in your fucking life. I saw like Survivor and season 1 of Survivor and like season 1 of The Bachelorette, but like I did not own a television, so I had not seen television when I went on television. I was the lunatic. I was the
Why
weird.
why do you think they put you in that? I mean, they kind of have to put people in stereotypical,
Yes,
archetypal
they have
roles,
to.
right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and there's a
Yeah,
villain every season.
of course, of course. And
Okay.
there's a story writer that facilitates that. And so I was going to be the
Oh,
heroine, and very quickly, because they all just assumed that I was going to win because they had never had anyone with this type of like business experience and background ever. I was by such a massive, massive, massive wide chasm, the most successful person at that point who'd ever been on that show. And a lot of people were on that show and then became very successful.
I'm
And
sure.
I mean, I arguably like Omarosa had interned at the White House. She has an incredibly impressive background. A lot of people had very, very there was another guy who I think won season 2. I don't remember. Like some people had very successful backgrounds, but none of them, because no one in 2005 had started 7 or 8 companies
No,
and
no one.
netted $150 million from scratch in revenue. That was like just not a thing. Now you can find a lot of entrepreneurs with that. That's why I said an updated version of something like this that was way cooler, that was really just like amazing serial entrepreneurs. Like that's something that I would produce under Power Chick Mafia, because that would be amazing to
Oh
watch.
my God, you
Yeah.
should totally produce that. And then
Yeah.
you could be the one sitting in the boardroom
Yeah. Yeah. And then there would be no
saying, "You're
question, of course,
fired."
if I had. Yeah,
Oh
I'd have
my
to,
gosh. All right. Well, I like how I started with the worst, but I wanted to get to the dirty tea and I wanted to get to the juiciest, which was like when the producers of that show threw you under the bus. Because when you told me like that's not how that rolled, I was like, wow, they really lied in that episode. Like really.
Yes. Yes. There were several episodes where like someone would say a sentence, I would say a sentence, they would say a sentence, that I would come
Yeah.
back with a response, and I was wearing 2 different outfits, and those things had happened 10 hours apart. And, and because I have such a dry sense of humor, no one could tell I was joking, but I fucking clearly very obviously was joking. And so somebody would say something, I would say something, everyone in the room would laugh, and then it would cut to somebody, usually like Roxanne or Tammy or Allie or anyone who is in the alliance against me. It's so ridiculous. We would just laugh and have wine if we saw each other now. We
Yeah.
saw each other like at Art Basel, like after this. I think it was before the show aired, and Pepe
Yeah.
is from Miami and invited us all down there. And we just had wine together. I did little tarot readings for them. I'm like, whatever, fucking go live your life. And they've
Yeah.
all done really well in life. These are very accomplished people. I'm not like fucking talking shit about them. I mean, a little
No.
about how they were 20 years ago, but like they understood the assignment. They understood what got airtime. They understood creating an alliance
Right.
and being on a reality TV show. I thought I was in this hardcore business competition. Girl, I was the fucking lunatic in this situation.
That's right.
This is nothing on them. They won. They beat me. They got me out, and now it's tough
They won.
competition. And Trump liked me, so they did their job. They understood the assignment. So for any first-time listeners, obviously MeiMei is a regular on the show. MeiMei Fox is a New York Times 2 times best-selling author. What? And she's the co-author of my book, You're Gonna Think I'm a Pathological Liar. She's also co-authored books for many, many interesting, fascinating people, including, I don't know, the fucking Dalai Lama. She was, I don't know if you're supposed to say those 2 words together, but I just did.
I'm sure it's been done before.
Yes, I'm sure. She also was on Oprah's 2025 recommended list for a book that she advised on, and she's been a 2 times recommendation on Oprah's book club. Let's fucking go, MeiMei. Whoop.
Thanks,
If
Andrea.
you, I know you're such a badass. And you guys, if you've ever wanted to write your best-selling book, she actually sells a course. on how to write your best-selling book, which she very fucking clearly knows how. I know a lot of people sell courses, but I hear people are like, I'm going to teach you how to be an entrepreneur, who just like have never had any actual company that drew a lot of revenue. Or I'm going to teach you how to write a best-selling book, but was not on Oprah's book club twice and was not on the New York Times bestseller list twice. So girlfriend, what is the website for that?
WriteYourBestSellingBook.com. It is very straightforward. Also, there are live teachings in that course. So I think it's very important to emphasize that. It's not just a bunch of videos, like I am live. So you get time with me giving you feedback.
And I know
let's get back to you.
I know, but I want to say this real fast because I know a lot of people who have taken that course. Ladies, it's a little pricey, right? Because MeiMei's time is not free. This is for somebody who is a serious fucking badass entrepreneur that wants to write the book, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to get booked at way more conferences and stuff. That's right.
100%. You are going to get stages, you're going to get media attention, and you are going to be able to like double your fees if you're a coach or consultant. That's really what it boils down to. It'll pay for itself in 6 months. It will.
It really actually will. It really fucking actually, for real, from two badass business chicks who've known each other for 20 years, it really actually just fucking, we're not steering you wrong. Nope. All right, Miss MeiMei, let's dive back in.
So I want to tell a positive story, because as equally, when I rewatched, as equally as I was like, what? With the Ellis Island episode and the villainy. Was it the Chevy Tahoe? Was it a Chevy Tahoe? It was a car that you were trying to sell, and you were bringing in a bunch of dealers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You kicked ass so hard. Like, as much as that Ellis Island episode painted you badly, that episode was like, you were a league. I mean, that's where it showed that you were a league ahead of your competition.
Yes, that's right. The commentary that I got from cast and crew, specifically longtime producers, and even like one of the camera guys who had been on the show since the beginning, who since has started his own production company, was like, we have legit never seen anything like that ever in the history of this. What just even happened? So the task was to sell the Chevy Tahoe, and I believe it is episode 4 of my like 10 parts. It's episode 3 of that series of The Apprentice, but it's episode 4 on my podcast. I cover exactly what happened at that Chevy Tahoe task. So I'm not going to go back into it. Type Secrets of the Apprentice part 4 and you can get the whole ass story. But long story short, they wanted me to sell a experience to Chevy Tahoe owners and present to them the very newest version of the Tahoe. I am an extreme off-trail hiker, extreme. That's why I have a G-Wagon. And my ex-boyfriend, Jack, had a Chevy Tahoe. So I had off-roaded extensively. And so I got an aerial view of the park in advance and saw that there were like roads that were through the park. And then I got clearance permission to take these dealer owners, who are the car guys to the max, to do an off-road adventure in the Tahoe, while Sean told them every single feature, because I said, your only job is you're charming and British, learn every single thing about the car and then tell it to them. And he did fantastic. And then I got an Olympic.
Such a good idea. Instead of like standing there and talking about it while they're looking at it on a pedestal, like
because you guys, this is going to be the best entrepreneurial advice that maybe you have ever gotten. Because now I have sold $447 million worth of product. How the fuck have I done that? Really good question. So when you want to have somebody buy something, give them an experience that they will take with them for the rest of their whole fucking life. That's the way. So I was like, let's do an old school relay fucking midnight madness, almost like get a scavenger hunt competition thing for these incredibly competitive people that own car dealerships. Why, MeiMei? Back in the day, like back in the 80s and 90s, who bought car dealerships back then?
People who love cars. I'm guessing.
Right. True fact. Number one, that's true. That's absolutely true. But also professional athletes. Yes.
Really? Why?
Yes. Because all of the time, professional athletes like Tony Gwynn or whoever with the San Diego Padres, I lived in San Diego, or somebody big on the Chargers, or somebody big on whatever your local football, baseball, basketball team was, all of a sudden had all this like generational sort of style wealth. And they would go to advisors in the sports industry and say, oh, hey, what can I do with all this extraneous cash? right? Because a lot of them were supporting whole communities because they were the wealthy one in their family. But how do you create that into something that extends beyond your life in sports? Well, back in the 80s and 90s, that was through buying car dealerships, through buying Subway franchises, through buying franchise locations of businesses. That is what happened.
No kidding. All right.
True
So you
fact,
had a
true
bunch
fact.
of
Isn't
former
janky.
athletes and
That's right.
like dude bros.
Yes, hyper competitive people who liked to be kids. I was like, let's do a relay race and put them together in groups. So they're bonding with each other in their group of like whatever, 8 out of the 100 people that were there. They were in groups of like 7 or 8. And let's connect them to each other. They were in groups of 7. Let's have scorecards. Let's let them do whatever. And so then there were just a few women, but the women that were there were like former tennis pros, very fit, very athletic women. So I had this one woman who was a rock climber. So when she went up this 6-story rock wall, everyone was dying. I remember it to this day. It made the air. Everyone was dying because she like ran up a rock wall because she was like a professional level rock climber. I don't know if she was professional level, but she looked like it compared to everyone else.
Wow. Wait, so you had events that you had them do? You had scorecards and then you had events?
Oh,
Kind
yes,
of like
I'm sorry.
a
Yes, yes.
mini
There was
Olympics
like
or something?
yes, it was a
Okay.
mini Olympics. It was a rock wall and like a putting green with an Olympian and a rock wall with an Olympian. And then I had this shotgun thing that we were going to do that got pulled at the last minute. I had the off-road tour. I had lawn bowling. I had like all kinds of different like party event things that you would go around in a circle and do that was going to end at this fancy lunch. But then I had all these golf courts that I had rented for the day just to haul stuff back and forth. And so shotguns at the very last minute, production intentionally tried to fuck me over because they're like legally by gaming law not allowed to do that, but they did. And they had a chance to make it go easy on me or go hard on me, and they made it go hard on me. I, of course, had cleared shooting fucking shotguns in an open park. I had obviously cleared it. I had said, send your guy to me because you were allowed to shoot skeet. Because here's the deal. I have been shooting guns for a very, very long time because yeehaw, America. And I know how, especially to shoot any type of a weapon, but a shotgun has, if you get especially buckshot, which obviously do that because if you're going to shoot someone, you want them to die. But in this particular case, with a skeet, you get what is called bird shot. And when a big ass bullet goes out of a shotgun, it goes like this. And there's all these little pellets. Now, a lot of people watched the TV show Fargo and they saw one little pellet go into the guy's hand in this very, very beautiful graphic way that happened on that show. You can watch it, I think, on Netflix. So what happens is a million little, like almost BB-sized pellets get released when you shoot a shotgun. So there's a huge spray that will cover like many, 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 many feet by the time that it gets, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet away from you where the skeet is. So there's a very high degree of success from people that think that they're not going to be able to do that thing.
Funny.
It is. And so it's such a fun thing to do. And I knew all this because I'm a fucking weirdo and I like to know every single thing about everything that I do. And I was like, oh, that's going to give them such like a confidence boost. It's going to be such a bonding experience when the people do hit it, because people who don't think that they can hit it are going to hit it. And it's going to be this big pinnacle moment. And then at the very last minute, the person who came to just like verify that my shotguns were in working order, which they were, I had a professional there with all of the guns and the skeet, instead declined my permit and made it sound like I didn't even look into getting a permit and that I just thought, yeehaw, America, let's go, shotguns in a park.
In a public park, they did make it look that way. Yes,
They
I can
did,
confirm that that's how it made it look. Like, oh, Andrea just thought we could shoot guns in a public park.
Correct. And
But
then
then you still spun it to a tremendous win.
yes,
Still.
1/2 of 1 second later, I was like, how much would these dudes love to fucking race go-karts? And also, I'm not going to lie, this I've talked about this before, but I've never told the total truth. I was like, fuck you, Mark Burnett. You want to put a hitch in my giddy up? I sure did hope that you got the insurance on these because we're going to go-kart race them and they're going to think it's like bumper cart racing. I don't give a fuck if they fuck the shit out of these go-karts, bitch. You might have to pay for that for putting a little fucking kink in my armor. And they did.
So
they
good.
literally rolled over the go-karts.
Oh
and
my
then,
God.
and I'm like, it's Mark Production. He's
And
fine.
had the best time ever.
The best time ever. Yeah.
The best time ever.
They did total one of the
Such a genius idea, Andrea. Seriously, like such a genius idea. Breaking them into teams, having this competition, making a bunch of fun, sporty events. So good. And then obviously you won. You kicked ass. It wasn't even close.
Every now and again, I pull an ace.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
phenomenal. Okay, so
Mm,
now,
mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
oh, no, no, there's more of that story? Okay, okay, okay,
So here's the deal.
okay.
Every single task that I took over, which was like the Boys and Girls Club, obvious in
Yeah.
my piece, most of the tasks, I ran with that level of efficacy and efficiency. That is why we won. Because nobody else, you guys, it's like this production company made a game just for me and then put in all of these people who had never ever started a company. Now on the other team there were some people that had done a few entrepreneurial things, but on my team there were no other entrepreneurs left. Like Stacy was, but she was off very quickly for no reason whatsoever. But so I was just like, there, that's why Donald was taunting them at the beginning of every task. They would be like, none of you can beat her. You can't beat her. She's so successful. She's done so many things. That's why everybody was so shocked when he did in fact let me go.
Yeah,
Well, I was
yeah.
I was not shocked. He was legitimately mad.
You were
what
not
happened? I
shocked.
just
Okay.
poured some more wine.
Yes, and I heard you pouring it. I didn't see it, but I heard it.
No.
So let's jump into the real dirty tea.
Okay.
What is Donald Trump like?
Well, what is
Or
he like
was he?
now?
I
Yeah, what is
mean, yeah, now especially he's gone off the deep end, but what was he like back then?
I am going to give a very clear disclaimer. And in general, I do not like to give disclaimers, and I only do it when it's important. So when I am telling you what he was like, I am telling you what he was like 20 years ago
Yeah.
when I knew him. And we talked about being pro choice randomly because I had worked for KRAL. Yes, that's correct. People change. Who the fuck knows? I'm making no commentary. He was a big supporter of the Clintons campaign, I believe. You could go ahead and look that up. So when I met him, I did not expect to like him because my mentor did not like him. And my mentor was one of the richest people in the world. And I had heard all of the bad, very unethical things about Donald Trump. I talk about this in Ramin Satuti's 2024 book that was just released that Donald Trump actually was part of. And they did a 3.5-page story of my synopsis where I'm like, no, I don't like unethical people. And he's filed for bankruptcy 6 times. And so somebody that goes and runs a company as a strategy borrows a very lot of money from banks and then as a strategy pays themselves a lot of that money and then files for bankruptcy and defaults on the banks. First of all, banks, the fuck are you doing? Don't lend that person money. That's your fault. That's not his fault. He's just creating a strategy and business is working for him and is consistently unable to make businesses profitable. And then people are like, all his buildings. I'm like, cool. He licenses his name. He does not own those buildings. He does not own those properties. That is a licensing deal. And some of them he does own, but it's very few because his strategy was to license his name, which by the way is fucking a smart thing to do. However,
Fucking smart strategy right there.
it is.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
so I had heard about all of his defaults on payments to small businesses and putting small businesses out of business. And so I truly, truly thought I just would not like him as a person because he seemed to me to be so profoundly unethical. And then when I met him, though, I really liked him. He's very, very funny. He's very, very quick. He will rise to whatever is going on in that moment 20 years ago him. So like when you see Barack Obama sitting next to Donald Trump and Barack laughs, that's because Donald is actually legitimately can be very funny. Even at the World Economic Forum, which I had intended to go to this year, I did not go to this year. I'll go to it next year. When Donald gave that ridiculous hour-long speech where he was like, they want to call me daddy. And I was like, the fuck did the fucking president of the fucking United States just say? Excuse me, the what? Could we not?
And
What
no, we don't.
actually
For the
fuck?
record,
By the
voting
by,
U.S. citizen here.
no, nor does any other president of any other country. They'll do it.
Oh my gosh.
The ones that are in trouble. But the ridiculousness of that, I cannot. I can literally not. However, then what happened?
What?
The French president Macron walked up and they were like, or no, I think it was actually Mark Carney, who is brilliant, amazing. I'd love to be a Canadian Mark. FYI.
Me too.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Mark,
Yeah,
please, please. The
Mark.
good Mark. Mark Carney. Mark Carney, please come save us. So Mark goes up to the podium and they're laughing, and there's this laughing exchange after Mark Carney gives perhaps the most blistering speech in the history of global economics, which, by the way, I've been in the Global Economic Institute for 25 years.
That's right.
I was at the Global Economic Institute when Trump called me the night that my firing episode aired. I actually was at the Global Economic Institute with Mark Burnett and whatever. Makes it sound like it's a big cabal. It's really not. They just gave me a free ticket and I went, as one does. But I've been in these economic institutes forever. And he actually just really is funny. And he actually really is. If you had dinner, I don't know about now because it doesn't seem like the same level of coherence is there, but he was really funny. He just actually was.
So he's genuinely, which is not surprising given
Past
his
tense.
success.
Past tense.
Yes, past tense, past tense. Different brain now, different brain.
20 years
I
ago.
firmly believe 20 years ago, different brain, different personality.
Yeah.
Affable, likable,
A Democrat, pro-choice.
funny. Did he ever hit on you?
Not his type.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Easy going. We made each other laugh.
Okay.
My dad was a submarine sailor, and I'm funny as shit, and I have a potty mouth, and he has a potty mouth.
Right.
So we made each other laugh, and I did a whole lot of research about his actual favorite subject, himself.
Right.
So I would ask him, Obvi,
So
who's on
good.
the TV show, and a degree to which no one else on my season knew one single thing about one single product. Oh,
Oh, really? Wait, give us an example.
I'm only going to talk for my team, right? Because that's how I've
Okay.
talked to my team extensively. And I was like, what do you want to do? So an example is I live in Sedona, Arizona. I'm in my house in Sedona, Arizona right now. I've been in Arizona part-time for 22 years. I love it here. And at the time, he had a deal in Phoenix that I believe was just a licensing deal, right? So it was just like the licensing of his names didn't have control over putting a person in construction in power there. And I was like, it's cool. Like nobody's going to flinch. You put me as the CEO in name of this building in Phoenix. So Donald was like, oh yeah, I do have a project in Phoenix, but like that's not one of the prizes. And I'm like, yeah, but it could be because I heard that you got fucked over and they limited you at 13 stories. And he goes, I did, those motherfuckers. We were supposed to do a like whatever, those fucking motherfuckers. We were supposed to do like whatever, a 20-foot tall, 20
No
tall,
way.
Yes. And I immediately in that moment, I was like, oh, I am in. I just won this whole show. Do you know why? Because any fucking dude that I grew up with a father that was a submarine sailor who had the mouth of a submarine sailor. So any man who's a boomer, and I'm a Gen X chick that learned how to fucking navigate those waters. Any Gen X woman knows how to respond to a boomer man who all of a sudden is like, those fucking motherfuckers when you say something. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to be fine. We're going to be
friends. Yes.
No worries. And I was like, that's fucking so shitty. He's like, I know, but like they don't ever count the 13th floor because it's unlucky. So it'll actually look like it's 14 floors or whatever. And I was like, oh, did you try this? And he's like, yeah, of course we did. I said, did you try this? And he said, oh yeah, of course we did. I said, did you try this? And he was like, oh, well, that's a good idea. I don't know if you tried that. And I was like, yeah. So I said, just introduce me to that person, and I promise you I'll be a CEO in name, but I will learn from the chief operations officer, and I will do such a good job on this property because I don't want anything else. And he's like, but you don't want the Hawaii one? I'm like, I don't want anything else, only Phoenix. So then, I'm not going to say who it was, but she fucking knows who she was, and I know she's going to watch this. Then he said to somebody else, what do you want? And she's like, oh, I really wanted the one in Phoenix. I'm like, bitch, you don't have any ties to over here. You just heard me say that and you don't even know anything about any of his projects. And you try to like learn on the fly, which is not unsmart, but why the fuck wouldn't you look up every single active thing he's working on if you're about to meet this guy that you want to get a job from?
Wow.
Weird.
That is so given all of that, which, you know, it doesn't sound like he was that bad. And I'm sure you didn't have much interaction with him. He probably wasn't around very much. But there were some of the prizes. Some of the prizes were like long dinners and that kind of thing, right?
That's right. So for new listeners, just go back and listen to my whole series, Secrets of the Apprentice.
Okay.
It's an 11-part series. I tell every single story. So for longtime listeners, I'm sorry if I'm retelling things here, but there was. And so I got so much extra additional time with Donald because he just liked me, because I was interacting with a lot of incredibly, exceedingly wealthy people. So I was not like, I wasn't like a fan. I was more of like, this is going to be good for me for reasons of my own. I'm doing this show for reasons of my own, which are very different than other people were doing that show for. I had panic attacks earlier in life, and I was like in so much control of my environment that my mentor, who is a psychologist, Dr. Richard Levac, was like, you should go to this show because it's going to push your boundaries and you're going to see that you're actually way more capable than you realize. You didn't just luck into something. You can go into a situation and lead a situation, and this will be a perfect testing ground for you, because it truly is just like a game show that was created for you, for exactly you.
So why did you get fired? I mean, you were the obvious contender, and I'm saying that having just rewatched it as well. I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased because I know you, but I mean, it's obvious. Go watch it, people. Go watch it. Andrea's is ahead above the rest. So, and you had a good rapport with Donald Trump. So why were you fired? Why did you not win?
Correct. So because I wouldn't defend myself, and Donald couldn't imagine himself in that situation of being accused of something really horrible and not defending yourself. And so women on
really?
No, I know.
How interesting. Haven't seen that play out recently with Donald and Accusations.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. Okay, so you wouldn't defend yourself, and he couldn't handle that. Like, he just couldn't handle that.
So a couple of the women, 3 of the women on my season, as aforementioned, had an alliance against me. And then they accused me of what? Poisoning their food. Attempted murder. That's attempted murder.
Which they didn't show on the Apprentice cut. They didn't show that.
That is a deep story. Are you ready for some tea?
They show them sitting around at night talking about how awful you are and plotting for blood on the walls, but they don't show any. So what the heck happened?
That is a good question. So there is obviously a whole ass podcast, The Secrets of the Apprentice. If you want the whole story on the food poisoning allegations, it's over there. Go listen. It's under my Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire. It's a sub-series within the series. Just type in Secrets of the Apprentice and it will come right up. We have a whole playlist. But the details are this. We got 4 hours of sleep a night. Girl.
I can't even, girl. Like, just right there, stop, and I will never do a reality show for that.
I just lied to you, because the longest that I ever slept in a 24-hour period was 4 hours in a row. I averaged 2 hours. It's very precise because I calculate everything. So I wrote in my journal. I was allowed to bring a journal. I think it was like 2 hours and 27 minutes of sleep for every 24 hours for 36 days in a row.
For 36 days?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, this is like a form of torture, actually. Actual, like, military prison torture.
In the actual international laws, NATO laws of torture, it is not allowed. Sound torture. Because they used to blast like heavy metal music. You see it now, peaceful protesters who are disrupting sleep. It is actually a form of torture. It makes you crazy. It legitimately,
it makes you
crazy. Makes you crazy. It makes you make very bad decisions in general.
Okay.
On top of that, the whole suite was plied with alcohol. Correct.
But you didn't drink.
I did not. That's right. So despite the fact that I am enjoying a glass of wine from Willamette County, I've never had this wine before. It's very, very good. King Estate Wineries, a white wine. I love red wine. I don't know very much about white wine, but I don't want my teeth to get purple. For everybody joining us on YouTube, so I'm drinking white wine.
Thanks for the honesty.
Yeah, true facts. So So we're in these incredibly sleep deprived situations. And the women on my team, I did not drink. I don't know whether anybody else did or did not drink, but it certainly seemed a lot of people imbibed. And they understood reality television. I very much did not. I truly thought I was on this like entrepreneur competition. You guys stop with whatever your fucking judgment is right now. This is like 2005 when we filmed this, okay? For 3 reality TV shows, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's why I watched it, because it was like this was still new, very new.
There was
Yeah.
not a lot of content to compete with. You were immediately famous if you were on Survivor or Apprentice or Amazing Race, because those were the only reality TV shows before.
And there's like 5 stations, by the way. I mean, there's cable
Yes.
at this point, but it's not
But
like
barely,
everyone had
barely.
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's really 3. There's ABC,
So it was a
NBC,
big
CBS.
It was a big BFD for Andrew to be on The Apprentice.
Yes.
Like BFD.
It was.
I don't even know what you could make it the
Instantly.
equivalent of like being the star of one of the hugest reality show, or being like Simon Cowell on X Factor or
Yes,
something. That
that's
level.
right. Immediately overnight. So
Yeah.
immediately overnight, you are just a private citizen. You're like a civilian. And then all of a sudden, fucking 15 million people are watching you the next day. 15 million. Maybe
Oh, and
10.
everybody's watching it at the same time.
The
Like this is another, it's so hard to comprehend that in this era. But
That's
like my ex-husband and I, we would like camp out. We get all excited. We're like, it's The Apprentice night.
Yes,
And you
that's right.
watched it.
That's right. It was the whole Thursday night lineup. And then the next
Yeah.
day on
Yep.
Friday. Why was it the Thursday night lineup? Do you know the business behind that? Because I do, and it's fascinating.
No, I don't. Because I was obsessed with it for years before it was Friends and ER and
Yes.
all the things,
Yes.
Seinfeld.
That rolled into the Thursday night lineup.
Yep.
And I was in the Thursday night lineup. It was that was actually a predecessor to this particular Thursday night lineup, was
Okay.
Friends. But yes, this was the extension of that in the same Thursday night competition, because movie trailers for Friday releases of movies, because by the way, there was no streaming services. There was no Netflix or YouTubes or fucking, there was nothing. There was no Hulu. There was no Peacock. There was nothing.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, baby. Come on. Come on. We were just baby barely coming out of VHS tapes. And so you sort of baby barely had DVDs, still Blockbuster. And then early days Netflix. You guys,
Blockbuster.
do you remember early days Netflix turned into Redbox? That's a fascinating business story. Google that.
That's a whole, let's do a whole dirty tea on business models
I
that you
got to
love.
have
Let's do a
dinner-
dirty tea on that. I'd like to have a dirty tea on business models Andrea loves.
I would too, because guess what, baby? I got to have dinner with the CEO of Netflix, who got fired off his own board and started Redbox. And he got fired out of Netflix because they thought he was a lunatic for wanting to start Redbox. And he's like, but there's a whole segment of people that cannot afford a streaming service, nor do they have reliable internet to sustain a streaming video. This is early days, you guys. Go fucking into your Wayback Machine and you can look up what I'm talking about if you're a kid.
You had to get the physical DVD mailed to you,
That's correct.
and then watch it and then mail it back. And I did this for years. I did it for years.
Did you fly into this interview on a pterodactyl? Because I did.
I did. I'm so old, you don't even know how old I am.
Seriously. Hastings gets fired out of Netflix for saying like, yo, hey, look, there's a whole bunch of fucking people that don't have a stable internet connection. They are on tin can and wire dial-up in Kansas. I'm not picking on Kansas. I've been through Kansas many times, but in the middle of the country. And then on a subset, like you're not in Missouri City, you're not in a place that anybody recognizes, like, or you're in Oklahoma, but you're like not in Tulsa. You're like 30 miles from Tulsa. So you don't have reliable internet to even stream once Netflix starts streaming. And so you have Redbox, where you can like rent a video out of a vending machine. He got fired out of Netflix for suggesting that. And then he offered to sell it back to Netflix for, I think it was, he told me the whole story over dinner up in Eden one night. Just the two of us, because I would insist on a hijacking dinner. He's like, who even the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm married. I'm like, I'm not. You stop. Let's just go we're in the line together. Let's go have dinner. And he told me his whole story. He had the
sold
board.
Redbox back
Yeah.
to Netflix?
That's right.
Okay.
So he had an offer. He gave Netflix an offer to buy Redbox for, I don't recall. It might have been 10 million. It might have been 20 million. It might have been 2 million. I don't remember. Some astronomically low figure. Netflix fired him as the CEO. Things happened. I know his board was like, you're cuckoo pants crazy, because when people are caught in a bubble, they cannot see outside of their bubble. So they're like, but the internet is so advanced. And you're like, yes, that's correct. And like 14% of the population has access to it right now. So Redbox, a video stand, no staff, no physical retail location. That's what drove Blockbuster out of business. And then all of a sudden, people could go and have no membership, hardly any late fee, just like you can't rent another one until you return it, sort of a like, there was like a nominal $2 thing per month versus like $2 per day, because Blockbuster was off of a library model. Okay, so you guys, if you just liked this deep dive into some bull ass shit, fucking insane business models, then you were gonna really like my long-term podcast, because a whole bunch of people just landed here.
You are gonna love Andrew's podcast. Seriously, if you're new to it, and that's why I like we're doing The Apprentice, because you did the 11-part series, but this is like a highlights reel.
Yes.
Of you, like where you're getting an overview of the whole season all at once.
Yeah.
And Andrea drops so much business knowledge. I'm like your biggest fan. I just want to get that communicated out to people. You don't have to be interested in stickers. You don't have to be interested in politics. You can just be here for all of the incredible business knowledge that this woman has.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to answer whatever question you had. But first, I'm going to explain to our new viewers, because they don't understand. And I don't think I've ever explained this so far, because so far you've been like, I might be in your top 3 fans, top 5 fans. I'm like, no, babe. I know, because hi, mom. She watches this on Saturday mornings. Love you, mom. I hope you enjoy this with your coffee. Hi, Aunt Beth. Hi, Aunt Barb. Hi, David. Hi, all of my family who is the Fanatic fans. The reason the podcast exists in the first place is MeiMei is writing my book. The book is called You're Going to Think I'm a Pathological Liar. Why? Because you guys, we'll just do a little thing. For the new time listeners, we're going to do 3 quick things. I've driven every freeway in the country and 70% of the highways west of the Mississippi. I have over 1 million miles driven my current car that I just told MeiMei on a Voxer she hasn't listened to yet earlier today has 393,000 miles on it, because I'm that fucking chick that drives something until it dies. I know. And in addition to that, not only was I contestant on The Apprentice, I have been a member of the Global Economic Institute for the last 25 years and have studied geopolitics and global economics. Not only that, aside from the fact that I have already told you I've started 14 companies, that's not true. I've started somewhere between 18 and 21. But if I just say 14, people say back to me like, oh, you've started 14 companies. What are they? And out of the 18 to 21 companies that I have started, I can come up with 14 of them on the fly. One of which I will tell you right now, because you've heard I'm a tech chick and I'm a product chick, and I owned the sales rights on Minecraft and the World of Warcraft and the Call of Duty and the Walking Dead, which I already know that I did not say in this episode. But I also started the Winston House in Venice Beach. Just go Google that. Because the way it started, Justin Bieber played in my living room.
I was going to say, you might have heard of some of the guests. Perhaps. Justin Bieber, Billie Eilish might have. Okay. And there's so much more that you guys are. Also, professional fire dancer.
Correct, for Jane's addiction. That's actually true.
Let's just like
also, just fucking FYI, because right now somebody just typed the other day, you're George Soros stooge, and I'm like, I'm super not. That's ridiculous. It's not a thing. I don't know George Soros, because if I did, I would have asked him to send me some fucking cash when I was broke and woke up $1.84 million in debt. Avi. However, his business partner Jim Rogers at the Quantum Fund is the reason that I went on all those road trips, because it helped me to see the trends that were happening, because he was my sometimes mentor when I was in my early 20s. Every word that comes out of my mouth sounds more untrue than the previous word that came out of my mouth. It sounds like I am making it up as I go along. I'm super aware of that. So when I was sending all of the I'm going to just record this and send this to MeiMei so she can write my book, she's like, girl, this is the podcast. This woman you're looking at on the screen is the reason this podcast exists. She is the #1 fan who is like, I'm just dying to tell your story. I know you're going to hit the metrics that you're going after. And lady, you know how to tell a story. So put me back on track. What am I supposed to say next, Coach? What question you asked me?
I'm so glad you said all of that, though. And I'm so glad we have an idea for our future Dirty Tea of business models Andrea loves. I want that. Okay?
I do too. I 100% agree.
Yes. Okay, good. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, We're finishing up our Apprentice highlights reel.
Girl, I've
And the
had two
question
glasses.
is, you crushed, we didn't even talk about Boys and Girls Club. We're not going to go listen to the episode on Boys and Girls Club. Go watch the show.
Oh, it's
You
so good. Go
crushed
watch
it.
it.
You crushed Chevy Tahoe. There
Ridiculous.
were other ones where you weren't the head, where you were guiding the entire strategy. They painted
Accurate.
you as this horrible villain on the Ellis Island when in fact you told us that you were the one going, hello, bulk sales, hello, bulk sales.
Go do them right
But
now.
and you're telling us I got along great with Donald Trump. My dad was a submarine driver. Like, so why did you get fired? You should have won.
Correct.
And we
So with all of the sleep deprivation, I'm logging my sleep. I'm getting an average of 2 hours and 27 minutes of a sleep. For the first time in my life, because I don't have children, I am understanding what it is like to have a colicky newborn. How on fucking earth would I ever understand that experience? And I'm just like, how do parents do it? Which is why I treat my people so fairly and like, go take care of your kids, go get the maternity care, etc. How did I get fired? So I give up an hour of my very fucking precious sleep to feed my team because I am not unfamiliar with the inside of a kitchen. And so I'm like,
she also can cook. She can also cook. The
I
woman
don't
can
know,
cook.
maybe. So I wake up one morning and there was this magic whiteboard. Oh, this is some TT. There is a magic whiteboard in a lot of reality spaces, and you can just write anything that you want from whatever store they're shopping at on that whiteboard. And so they had a Whole Foods section, and I would just write every little fucking thing that my heart desired, and that thing would show up in the fridge when I got home. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be the project manager. I'm going to do this huge scramble for my people with like every veggie you could imagine and some eggs and some delicious cheese and whatever. And they would not give me olive oil or real butter. I don't know why, because there was I'm not going to say who she is because this is disgusting, but she did not want any organic butter, milk. She wanted Pam and margarine. And I was like, I know. I was like, you're so fucking, are you shitting me right now? You're so gross. I disrespect you as a human entirely, but like everybody live your life. There's things I like that people don't like, but I'm also like as pure a food as I can eat. And fermented grapes, clearly. So I get up an hour early with all of my ingredients to make this beautiful scramble. I make these roast potatoes. I'm literally losing sleep to feed my team because it was so hard to get nutrition into our bodies because generally speaking, we're so busy. We would like go through a drive-through. So I'm a vegetarian and there's like virtually nothing I can order in a drive-through. I lost 13 pounds when I was on the show. I walked in the door trying to gain weight. I've never had any eating issues, but I am 5'10" and I weighed 127 naturally because I was a long distance hiker who loves with my whole heart hot yoga. Girl, mommy hit perimenopause. That is not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't gain weight.
Tell
to
me
save
about
my
it.
life. I know. I couldn't gain weight to save my life. And so I was trying to get calories, but the food was so unhealthy. And so I was so unaccustomed to eating those things. And everyone's surviving on this bleak diet on this very sleep deprived show. So I'm like, I'm going to make a really solid, like 1,000-calorie home cooked, just like eat it until you're full and feel comforted meal. Well, these very sleep deprived ladies, Roxanne led it up, but they all joined in. You literally put my beautiful home cooked meal in the trash and I don't even fault her because she was sleep deprived, but they would not give me olive oil or butter, which is usually what I would cook a scramble in. So all I had was like Pam, but like a more natural version of a spray that you would spray into a pan, which is that's not how I roll. That's not how I cook because I know how to cook, baby. Come on. So I'm spraying this like mist whatever olive oil thing into a pan, and she sees me spraying something that she perceives to be a chemical in the pan, and instead of saying what the fuck or coming and even looking at what I'm doing, grabs her food off her plate, scrapes it into a trash bag, runs it to the camera as fast as her little fucking feet can carry her, and shows off in the trash, and she puts it under her mattress. Which, you guys, it's eggs. That's so gross. But obviously production crew and cleaning crew knows where it is. But like, yikes, do you really want rotting eggs under your bed? But she's like, she tried to poison me. And I'm like, girl, you're a lawyer.
Oh my God.
You're a lawyer and you just accused me of attempted murder.
What?
However, and I don't even think she drinks, but however, that degree of lack of sleep, and for
Yeah.
some reason, she's super, but thought that
It
I was
does
against
make you
her.
paranoid. Well, it does make you paranoid,
It
right? It
does.
is one of the, I
By
mean, you
by
really get
definition,
psychotic. Yeah.
it was, and I don't think anybody else has ever understood because I was such a documentarian. I was writing down the minute that I would fall asleep and the minute that could wake up so I could see it afterwards. Cause I'm like, I feel like afterwards, I won't even believe that I lived this experience and I'll feel like I'm exaggerating. And so I want to know what it actually was. And it really was like, I don't remember if it was 2 hours and 34 minutes or 2 hours and 27 minutes per day, but it was a teeny tiny amount. The longest I ever slept was like I think it was like 4 hours and 12 minutes in a row in a 24-hour period. Desk, a steel desk with a wood slat on top of it for 25 minutes with no blanket on top of me. I am not the person
Oh
that can sleep
my
in the train
God.
station or on the airplane. I am not a person that could sleep sitting up in a chair prior to doing this show. And guess what I learned from the show? I can sleep anywhere and I need way less sleep than I feel like I need to function. But the folks who did that plus alcohol, they had ideas. So when I was accused of attempted murder, I was like, I will very much not respond to that.
So that full circle back to where we were earlier, that's the story where you said Donald fired you because he couldn't imagine you not defending yourself.
Correct.
That's what he's like. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to defend yourself and say, I didn't do that. And you were like, I'm not even going to address it because it's
Correct.
so ludicrous.
Correct. So then a producer made me aware that these allegations had happened. And they wanted to get me to respond in an on the fly interview. And I was like, nah, I'm good. No. And then in the boardroom itself, and Donald was like, I think he was going to a fancy fucking pants event. He came in a tuxedo, and I don't remember who the judges were. They might have been his kids, and they were all dressed up. They were all
Yeah, it
clearly
might have been
going
his
somewhere else
kids.
after. And it wasn't anybody that knew me. Oh, I think it was his kids because it was nobody that knew me, and I met them, and no
You
comment.
have things to say about that. Yeah.
No comment.
The
No
look
comment.
says it all. We are not going to
No
be on the
comment. I
record.
feel like it was his boys, and no comment, boys. So So he comes in, and these ladies accuse me of things, of lying to other judges who are not present, which very clearly did not happen, and also of these food poisoning allegations. And I had already declined to answer any food poisoning allegations in all of my OTFs. And I kept saying to the executive producers, that's why I made Jay Beanstalk a moral compass. I kept saying, you all need a moral compass. I have huge contracts. I had just landed Blizzard Gaming. I had just landed the hugest video gaming contracts. I'm like, I have real businesses and real people who work for me depend on the income I bring them through my real businesses. And you are trying to
Yeah.
make it sound as if I have attempted to murder someone over winning a game show? Absolutely not. And one of them is a lawyer, and I was like, go all of the way away from me because you have literally just accused me of attempted homicide. And so I could very easily have dispelled those rumors and said any which way of a thing. But I also looked at Donald. I don't think I've ever said this in an interview before. And I said, if you cannot very clearly discern the difference between the three ladies sitting next to me and myself, then I truly do not have anything else to offer you right now. I really don't. And
That
so
is smoking hot.
because Mark Burnett had done me the biggest disservice in the history of reality TV. Mark, if you don't love what's going on, different Mark Burnett, if you don't love what's going on right now, you told me to conduct myself professionally as if I was in a job interview at all times. You did the whole stories in the Apprentice series. And so when these ladies were yelling and screaming and saying that I had attempted to murder them by cooking them a meal, I was like, if you can't see the difference between the three
Yeah.
ladies sitting next to me right now and me, then I have
Yeah.
nothing else to offer you. And he goes, Andrea, you fired. And that's the story of me getting fired.
Wow.
But there was no falling down on the task. I tried to save the task, and that was not what anybody wanted to have happen. All right, so we're gonna obviously, because we only got through very part of this episode,
I mean, there's
we're
so
gonna
much
do
more.
a second part of Dirty Tea in a couple weeks.
I have so many more
MeiMei.
questions, but
I
thank
know.
you for
I
sharing all
know.
of that.
I know
And
you
if you
do.
loved this episode, go back and listen to the longer version because it's really fascinating. And watch it. Available now on Prime Video, season 5 of The Apprentice. Go watch it. Like, it's good television. I'll give them that for
Literally,
all their lying and
literally.
cheating and editing. No, but that's what
It's
reality TV does. Now we know that.
absolutely.
Now we're educated consumers, right? So,
Absolutely, yes. I would play that
yeah,
way different if I understood what worked on
that's
reality
right.
TV now. But also, you guys, we read the comments. So, honeys, babies, lovey pies. If you're one of the first 100 people, because there's only like 100 or 200 people that are going to see it on YouTube, there's only like 2 or 3,000 people that are going to hear it on audio. So, babies, if you just go ahead and fucking, first of all, follow MeiMei Fox at MEIFOX on Instagram. Go to her website, write your best-selling book if you're a badass fucking entrepreneur that wants to have your book written. And leave us a comment and leave us a question of what you most want to know. Engage with us on Threads, engage with us on
Yes.
YouTube, drop something into the iHeartRadio or Amazon podcast or Apple podcast or Spotify or wherever you're hearing this, because girlfriend, we'll fucking see it right now, babies. There's less
And we
than
will address
5,000
it.
people
And
listening.
we
Yes.
know there's like, we know there's youngins out there listening. And if you're smart and you're Gen Z and you want to start a business, you're listening to this podcast. We also know we have our Gen X mamas out there. We
Oh,
love
baby girl,
you.
wine moms and feral aunties, you are my
We love
people. We
you.
do
We
indeed.
love you.
The reason we have to wrap this and not do part 2 tonight is why? Because MeiMei is a wine
Oh,
mom. She
because
doesn't get to have wine.
my mom. No, I
Because
don't
she's
because
into
it's too
Hawaii.
early. But my children are homesick with strep throat.
Who cannot relate to
So
that? So you have some tea, some
I'm
dirty
having
tea.
sparkling water.
Okay.
That's
I'm
right.
having sparkling grapes.
I'm on sparkling water. But we'll be back. To be continued.
To be continued next time on Dirty Tea, Secrets of the Apprentice. And please, please drop us a like, drop us a follow, give MeiMei Fox a follow, give Andrea Lake 101 on any platform a follow. And can't wait to see you next time. Literally, if you hit us with the question, we might ask it on the next episode.
Why not?
Why not?